G'day. A few of you have asked me about the replacement kingdom spouse message, and so I'm just going to share very quickly my experience of coming into agreement with that message. And I don't believe that is a message for everybody. For those who don't know what that means, for people who believe that God has revealed a spouse for them and they've been standing for that spouse, the replacement spouse message is that because that spouse that we were standing for has not come into agreement, they've practiced free will, they've perhaps failed to seek Holy Spirit, and have rejected that marriage that God has brought to them, that God is bringing a different spouse as an option for us. When I first heard that message, my thinking was, but God sees everything from the beginning to the end, so why would he reveal to us a certain spouse if he knows it wasn't going to end up that way? So that's where I sat with it. But God did use Emily, who was participating in this ministry from around about 2020, and he used her to deliver that message, and her YouTube channel wasn't up for very long. The content was so rich. I have a lot of trust in her prophetically. I've ministered to her, spoken with her. I've seen her walk. I've seen her obedience. I've seen... I'm just going to stop this dinging. I made the mistake of... It's one of you guys. I made the mistake of unsilencing my phone. Okay, do not disturb. Let's see how we go now. She's incredibly obedient. Really someone who's given their life to God. And I trust her message. So when she came onto YouTube and her whole ministry was about this replacement spouse message, she was really vilified and attacked by people. I withheld judgment because I had that history with her where I knew that she could be trusted prophetically. And my thinking at that point was, well, okay, maybe that's a thing, but unless God confirms that for me in my situation, I won't take that easy way out from what I was standing for. I stood for my spouse for 7 long years. It would be very easy to say, oh no, God got someone else for me, and then chase after somebody else. So that's where I was at. And like I say, I was approaching 7 years of standing, and I secured a one-to-one with Emily Rose Lewis. And normally it's me ministering to you guys, but for once I was paying to have someone else minister to me. And as I was speaking with Emily, Holy Spirit kept nagging me, saying, tell her about the marriage promise, tell her about the marriage promise. And so I said to her, look, I'm standing for this promise of marriage. And she said, I believe that God gave you that marriage to keep you, on the shelf, off the market, keep you out of the wrong relationships. And I know that was a thing, to be celibate for 7 years, to stand, to be sanctified for 7 years, etc. Sometimes it takes a little bit of support from God. And there were twice where I was getting along very well with gentlemen, and I said to God, that's not who you showed me. I give you full control over my feelings. If they're not for me, please remove them from my life. And God did so. And he removed them immediately with no discomfort, no embarrassment or anything like that. And so definitely there were benefits to standing for 7 years that has really served me and my family. But while I was talking to Emily, she said, no, I don't believe that's for you. Now, I'd started to receive corporate words that sounded like they were for me, suggesting that there was a spouse that God was about to introduce me to. Within minutes, literally within minutes of leaving that one-to-one with Emily Rose Lewis, I was in touch with a fellow who I firmly believe now is my spouse. The confirmations are absolutely ridiculous. I felt that he was pursuing me. and I believe we're on the same page now. And he's a really, really lovely person. The progress is going to be slow. There's a process we need to go through. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because it's a question a lot of people have is, do we have, is that a thing, a replacement spouse? And why when God can see the beginning from the end? I don't know. I do not have all the answers. But before I close off, there's one more thing that I want to share with you, and that is I've spoken to people and their perception of how God has revealed a spouse has been, let's put it this way, I have to trust them on it, because there's a big difference between prophetically hearing directly from God, this is your spouse, and receiving a corporate word and coming into agreement with that. So some people had received that message through other people, through YouTube channels, whatever. I believe we have to be very, very cautious of coming into agreement with anything like that, especially something like marriage, when it's not directly revealed to us, directly confirmed to us, directly encouraged and maintained by God in our relationship with Him. So I definitely want to caution people, and for some people they might have just been standing for the wrong person. That is a distinct possibility, that they've misunderstood and come into agreement with a message that perhaps wasn't for them. That is possible. So just to summarize, where do I stand now? I feel that there's no doubt that God has shown me that replacement spouses can be a thing. God's ways are not our ways, and I could see the amazing things God could have done with the original spouse I was standing for, and we both had wonderful ministries that would have worked very, very nicely together. But that person, God kept telling me he's stubborn, he's stubborn, he's stubborn. And it just did not come together, even though we got along really well. So I know a lot of you are going through a similar thing. Holy Spirit's just showing me a great big green tick. Yes to replacement spouses, but be led by God, be led by Holy Spirit. Seek prophetic counseling from somewhere that you trust. On that point, just some housekeeping. I will be leading a group for free. You can join that group through the Silencing the Accuser Bloodline Prayers starting next Tuesday. If you're in America, it's starting late on Monday. It's Tuesday for Australia, Monday for America, and it'll be somewhere between those times for everyone else in the world. And what was the other thing? I'll be making one-to-ones available after that process. So Australian Tuesday morning, so that will be late on Mondays. For the United States, I will make some one-to-ones available in that time slot after that prayer process is completed. I believe I will be. So I wanted to just leave you with that, leave you with my thoughts about the whole idea of the kingdom spouse, the replacement kingdom spouse. And, just take it to God, keep praying, be prayed up, and just be obedient to God. And actually, there is one other thing. I know some of you are being relocated at the moment, and that's what's on your radar. And you might feel that that's not related, but what if God's relocating you to a place where you'll cross paths with that spouse, or what if God's calling you to some sort of an online ministry or a workshop in your city, or, God might be calling you to things to step out where it doesn't look related, but in fact it is. So don't think that you can reject a relocation to another city but still claim your spouse. The two might be related, so just be mindful of that you can't cherry pick with God. You need to take step by step with His leading to get to the destination. It is a journey. Life is a journey, and much like a pregnancy, when we're pregnant, we're all about the pregnancy, and suddenly we have this baby, and then you've got all these questions like, how do I look after a baby? How do I change its nappy? How do I breastfeed it? How do I manage its sleep routine, etc. And it's going to be the same for us with our marriages, in that we've anticipated it, and then suddenly when it's here, you'll have all the questions. How are this person and I compatible? How are they going to get along with my children if I have children? How will we fit in this house, or will we need to live in a different house? What's their parenting style? What's their attachment style? And that's something, if you haven't heard of attachment style, you want to look into that. How do I fulfill my role as a spouse? How do I fulfill my role as the husband or as the wife, particularly for us single mums, where we are so used to being independent, self-sufficient. You know, God has been training us these past years to lean on Him. Now we need to be able to transfer that to a fella and trust our man on leading and making big decisions and managing our finances, and for him to put faith and trust in God, etc. So that's another thing to have a think about, because I do believe it is a marriage season for the remnant. It's not the marriage season for everybody, but I believe that Holy Spirit's saying en masse, there will be a lot of weddings amongst the remnant over the next 3 to 12 months. I feel like it will be sooner rather than later. And if you're starting to get those signs, you know, if you're starting to get the Esther preparation happening, God's grace on healing and well-being and energy levels and your looks and wardrobe, all of that, it's a sign of preparation. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I just pray that this message blesses you. God bless.